Hello everyone, in this review I will talk about Sony RX100 Mark V. This is their latest advanced compact camera. For the beginning, a few differences between this and the previous Mark IV model. Main differences include faster operation. This camera now has face detection autofocus system. It will focus faster and also track better moving subjects. Second improvement regards continuous shooting. Previous model could shoot up to 16 frames per second, what already was quite fast, but this one can shoot up to 24 frames per second in RAW format if you want it. It also has improved buffer. Now it can take around 150 shots in a single burst in RAW format if you want it, of course. That means you will be able to shoot around 6 seconds continuously at 24 frames per second. That is more than enough for pretty much any action, animals, kids, sport, anything like that. In video department, this camera now has S-Log. This is a flat video profile intended for grading. This is relevant only for advanced users because videos will be very flat in terms of color and contrast. High frame rate option is also upgraded. Before you could shoot up to 4 seconds in real life, now you can shoot up to 8 seconds of high frame rate videos. This will be great for anyone who wants to use slow motion on this camera. Sony has also upgraded auto ISO control. Now you can select lowest shutter speed at which the ISO will be changed. This is also something that is most important for advanced users. Besides these upgrades, pretty much everything else is the same. Sensor is the same, lens is the same, image quality is the same as Mark IV, so if you don't need 24 frames per second, S-Log, a bit faster autofocus, I think it is better to save a bit of money and buy the older Mark IV version. Image quality from RX100 Mark V is on a very high level. If you're gonna shoot JPEG, images are quite nice, especially in low light. You will be able to use it up to ISO 64, even 12,800. If you're gonna shoot in RAW format, you will also be surprised how much can be saved from RAW images from this camera. In my opinion, this is quite similar to some of the entry-level DSLR cameras on the market. That alone tells how good the sensor in this camera is. The lens is also responsible for high image quality in this camera. It has 3 times optical zoom, which may not sound as much, but it covers very useful range for 24 to 70 millimeters. In real life that's more than enough for casual subjects, for landscape, for occasional portraits and everything in between. Even best of everything, Aperture is quite big, f1.8 on wide angle and 2.8 on maximum telephoto, what is also good for low light shooting. If you want to separate your subject from the background, you will also be able to do that on this camera, but if this is very important to you, I advise buying a DSLR with even bigger APS-C sensor and the lens like 50mm 1.8, 85 1.8 or something like that. This camera can also do it, but you will get better results from bigger sensors on a DSLR or mirrorless, of course. Video quality is pretty much astounding. It is very detailed without moire and it looks really good. You can shoot videos in 4K resolution at 30 frames per second or you can choose Full HD at 60 frames per second. Of course, there is slow motion video where you can choose between 250, 500 and 1000 frames per second. For me personally, this is the most fun thing about this camera. Once you start shooting slow motion videos, you will be surprised how interesting they can be. LCD screen can be articulated 45 degrees down or 100 degrees up. In other words, you will be able to use this camera as a vlog camera, also for selfies, but vlogs will most benefit from this function. Now it would be perfect if this camera had microphone input. It doesn't have it. Right now it depends only on built-in stereo microphone, these 2 holes on the top. Sound quality is good, but it would be really better if you were able to connect a lavalier or shotgun microphone. RX100 is also very quiet in use, just listen to the sound of mechanical shutter. I'm actually not sure if my microphone on my shirt even captures this sound. You will also be able to select electronic shutter in which the camera will be absolutely silent. This will be great for shooting in quiet environments like weddings, churches, classical music concerts or anything similar. You will also be able to take candid shots of your friends or family without them noticing. A small electronic viewfinder is built in. This is great stuff for using it in daylight when it will be hard to see anything on the LCD. This camera also has a small pop-up flash, which is strong enough for casual use, but my favorite feature is the fact you can tilt it like this and point it upward. This way you can get a bounce function, the light will bounce off the ceiling and you will get much more natural lighting on your subject. RX100 Mark V uses the same battery as the previous 5 generations, but the bad thing is that this camera uses a lot of power due to very strong processor and fast readout sensor. In other words, you will be able to shoot around 200 images and few short videos on a single battery. The previous models were able to take around 300 shots. So my advice is, if you buy this camera, you should definitely buy at least 1, maybe even 2 spare batteries. Batteries are charged inside the camera. You get usual micro USB charger with the camera, but I would very much like if it were possible to get a standard external charger. That way you would be able to charge one battery while you use the camera with another one. Not everything is perfect, and this camera also has several downsides. I already talked about short life of the battery, but there is more. For example, there is no touchscreen. In 2017 I would expect each camera to have it. Also, this camera has very small controls, buttons are tiny and it's very hard to use it, especially in the winter when you have gloves. In this condition it is very hard to use this camera. I also don't like menu system. There is really a lot of options inside of it and there is no particular logic by which they are placed inside. So you will spend a lot of time browsing through this menu system, and this is definitely not what I like in a camera. I want to spend my time shooting with it, not playing with the options. Of course, you don't have to use all these features that are built into the camera. You can use it in full automatic mode and get great images and videos. So for conclusion, Sony has made a great camera. It really has excellent image and video quality. It is very fun to use, especially when you use slow motion video recording. In my opinion, this camera will be best for somebody who wants a camera that is very capable, but which you will use mostly in automatic or semi-automatic modes. Due to complicated menu systems, this will be not a lot of fun for advanced users, but for anyone who wants to use it in automatic mode, this is one of the best options and most fun options on the market. That's pretty much everything for this review. Subscribe to our channel and thanks for watching.